Job and employment vocabulary. How to describe your job. When introducing ourselves to someone, we usually say, "Hi, I'm," with our names. When speaking in a business context, our opening statements, however, are usually, "Hi, I'm," our name, and then our job. Let's start with that. A simple introductory statement. It seems like a rather easy thing. However, there are many ways in which it can be described depending on our job. But before we get into it, let's take a look at prepositions. A preposition is a word or group of words used before a noun, pronoun, or noun phrase to show direction, time, place, location, spatial relationships, or to introduce an object. Examples of a preposition: at, in, on, for, etc. I work in, I work at, I work with, I work for. Places: a workplace. I work in a school. I work in an office. A city or country. I work in Australia. I work in Istanbul. A company or a person. I work for or at. For example, I work for Adidas. I work at World English Academy. You can also use for if you work privately for a famous person. For example, I work for Michelle Obama. I'm her public relations manager. A department. I work in the purchasing department. I work in maintenance. A field or industry. I work in astrophysics. I work in the automobile industry. Things or people that are objects of your day-to-day work. I work with machines. I'm a nurse. I work with medical patients. You can also use phrases such as, I'm responsible for creating content for my company. My job includes looking after the visitors' children. I'm in charge of recruiting volunteers and interns. Keeping it simple. If you'd like to keep it short and simple, you can just say, I'm in, with your occupation. For example, I'm a doctor. I'm a banker. If you do not have a job or aren't currently working, you can use the following phrases. I'm unemployed. I'm looking for jobs right now. I'm not working currently or at the moment. Here are some other reasons why you might not be working. If you're a student, you can simply say, I'm a student. I'm studying at the moment. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a stay-at-home dad. If you work on your own, you can say, I'm self-employed. If you own a company or business of your own, you can say, I own a small business. To be more exact, you can say, I own a cafe. I have a small shoe factory of my own, etc. Describing your work. Here are some ways to talk about how you feel about your work. My job is very interesting or exciting. My job is pretty boring. My job is worth its while. The work is quite challenging. Challenging. Testing one's abilities, demanding. It usually has a positive connotation. My job is hard. Work is really tiring. The work is dull or repetitive. Dull, boring, uninteresting. Repetitive, doing the same thing over and over again. Also boring. Some important employment vocabulary. Who's who? When you are accepted for a new job at a company, you are hired by the company. For example, I was hired by a law firm soon after graduating. The opposite of hire is fire. When your company asks you to leave your job. For example, Harry was fired from work last week. After you're hired, you become an employee of the company, and the company becomes your employer. The other people who work beside you are your colleagues or coworkers. The person who works above you and is responsible for looking at your work is your supervisor or your boss. Working hours. You can work full-time, usually about 35 to 40 hours a week, or part-time, usually 15 to 25 hours per week. A small number of companies offer flex time, where you can set your own schedule. In some jobs, you work shifts, where the working hours aren't the same every day. If you work overtime, it means you work extra hours in addition to your normal working hours.